Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Who here, is this your first time coming to 1 Million Cups? Welcome. Wow. So who's been here since we were in here, not the last time, which was a couple weeks ago, but many years ago? Who's been here since then? All right. Thank you. My name's Toby, and this is 1 Million Cups, Kansas City. This is where we have two entrepreneurs, startups, get up every week on Wednesday from 9 to 10 and tell us about their company for 6 minutes, and then we do about 15 minutes of Q&A. We will come running around with a microphone, and so that everybody can hear us on the live feed. And with us today are not all of our organizers. There's 5 of us, but today there's 3. So this is Brian. And this is Courtney, and raise your hand if you know you. Okay, raise your hand if your name's Brian. So, before we get started, we have a couple of folks. What?
Where's our timer?
Oh, I don't know where our timer is. We have a couple of folks we wanted to just say hello to, and thanks for coming. We have 2 folks here that are. We want to recognize the congressional staffers who are in KC for the KC Chamber of Commerce's Spotlight on Kansas City tour, and that is Kay Sharp and Emily Hogg from the officer of Senator Pat Roberts. So if you're in the room, raise your hand.
Right
over
Chris
here. Hi.
Allen and Emily Hogg.
I'm very sorry. That's not the name I have. Sorry about that. Welcome. Thanks for coming. All right. So one of the things we do every week is that we have a couple of folks who take a little extra time, take a look at who the presenters are, and think of really, really tough questions to ask them. And that's our panel. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and then we'll get going.
Hi, my name's Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name's Sarah Shipley. I'm with KC Healthy Kids. I've done 1 Million Cups a few times, and I loved it.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Roberts. I work at the Enterprise Center at Johnson County, where we help connect entrepreneurs to the resources that they need to grow. And shameless plug, hold nifty educational sessions like the one coming up on Thursday that's included in your announcements.
That's on the announcement sheet. All right, and so let's keep going. This is Joel Johnson with Mixtape the Game. Take it away.
Thank you. Mixtape, quite simply, is just a card game. I'm not an entrepreneur yet, though I intend to be. I'm here to tell you about my idea. I currently have Mixtape, this product that I designed. It's on Kickstarter, and I'm looking to get it funded. But I wanted to share the idea. This was such a great opportunity for me. Thank you to the 1 Million Cups organizers. I'm so grateful to have an audience to just share what Mixtape does when you play it. So thank you all for being here. Mixtape comes with 200 cards. 180 scenario cards, 20 action cards. The scenario cards are written on 5 things, roughly. They're written on experience, they're written on imagination, they're written on emotion, endearment, with a little dash of irreverence. 20 action cards, when we started testing this with our friends, we found that we needed to get people up. Granted, it is a card game. I want people to be around the table, engaging with each other, playing music, talking, laughing, dancing. But the action cards bring a little physical element. So for those of you that have played charades or Pictionary or Balderdash, even Taboo, you know, the one with the buzzer where all the guys shave their face with it. Again, these bring a physical element. For instance, the reverse card. Now, this is a song and scenario game, but if you pull the reverse card, you get to go play a song, and then everyone around the table has to write a scenario to that. So it kind of flips the script. The third component of Mixtape, you've got scenario cards, you've got action cards. You do need access to digital media. Now you can use YouTube for free. We generally play it on Spotify. Google Play has 30 million songs in their library. Granted, it's a subscription service, but you can pull up a song immediately. We have yet to find, there's been a few obscure songs, but for the most part, they're all there. So let's play a game. As I said, oh, the fonts didn't translate. That's too bad. You pull a card from the deck, you read it to the group, everyone's drinking beer, they're listening to it. Okay, now what? Okay, I have a song to play. So people run off with their phones to their ear, Googling what song they want to play. Or they walk up to the stereo, they play a song. Once everyone has played, you vote. That one was the best, that one was the most inappropriate, that one made me cry, that one made me laugh. That's the end of the round. The winner gets a point, and then you go on. But let's talk about step 2. Every culture has a theme song, right? The United States, America. Think of all the bands, all the lyrics that have been written, all the emotions that have been played over a guitar. Our culture has a theme song. Those songs have been played by a band, but as fans of music, I have yet to see someone who has a #1 hit on the charts and have no fans. We identify with their lyrics. We identify with their stories, with those experiences. So basically, those bands are you, those bands are me, those bands are us. Again, it's just, well, we're pulling cards, we're playing music. Why is that? Why is it valuable? It's real simple. No, there's more to it. We thought it was just going to be a fun way to kill some time with family and friends around the table. But then people started telling stories. They started asking questions. Why did you play that? I've known you for 10 years, and I never thought you were a Taylor Swift fan. I grabbed this quote because it really captures the value of mixtape, and that's giving people a chance and an opportunity to be vulnerable in front of each other, to tell them something personal, kind of hidden behind the mask of a song. You know, in some of our scenarios, you say, what song reminds you of your grandma? That's probably not a question I would even ask some of my closest friends, but when they play me that song, I've learned something about something very personal to them. These stories are the glue to our relationships. They're the glue for our experiences and our history. This PowerPoint is a story, hopefully not a boring one. I mean, everyone at 1 Million Cups, everyone who's ever presented, even you guys in the audience, you're all here to listen to a story, to let someone tell you a story about their vision, about their dream, about a problem that they're solving. These stories are powerful. So what happens when you move beyond business as usual, beyond PowerPoints? Mixtape it's a card game. It's not a solution for the office, but there is a solution that it provides, and that's giving people the opportunity to get personal again, to be social, to set down their phone, engage each other, start telling stories, laugh, dance, lip sync, all that stuff. That content, that powerful, engaging content is being written. It's part of your past, it's part of your present, and it's part of your future. That content is your story, and it has a soundtrack, whether you think it does or not. So Mixtape, quite simply, invites you to play, share, and tell those stories using music as a vehicle. So help back us on Kickstarter. We'll get this product into people's hands, at people's tables, in people's offices. It's a great icebreaker. Think about a corporate setting. You can write scenarios for your company, let your employees play them, and tell stories to each other about them. Thank you for your time.
So you have a functional product, correct?
The Kickstarter is, I'm doing the Kickstarter so that I can produce the cards themselves.
Have you, when you're testing the product, who have the tests been with?
Generally speaking, about 40 of our friends in the Kansas City area. Mm-hmm. I also mocked up a deck and sent it to a friend of mine in California so he could play it with a group of people who had never heard about it before.
Were there any interesting pivots that came out from playing with your friends?
The action cards were the first one. Mm-hmm. And then the way he explained it, normally we do a group vote democratically with our group of friends. That seems the funnest way to do it. It's like, nope, good, whatever. With his group, what they wanted to do is the person that pulled the scenario card was the judge. so that you could play a song that you felt was the best for the moment, or you could play a song that you know that they would appreciate because they like a specific genre of music. And that's why we've kept the rules on the website not loose, but there's kind of a natural ebb and flow to your group of friends. And that's kind of where you figure out what fits best.
And then quickly, what happens after Kickstarter?
After Kickstarter, we go into a 60, 90-day production cycle. The $15,000 that I'm asking for will give me 2,500 decks. I intend on taking, after fulfilling the rewards, probably about 500, and doing a kind of a PR campaign to lifestyle blogs, record labels, university newspapers, arts and editorial type stuff. The remaining boxes will then go on the website for sale with the hope that we'll start getting some traction. I can move those boxes and then do another production run. The whole reason being, with Kickstarter, I haven't had to take out a small business loan. If I can do 2 cycles, I'll have 5,000 pieces out into the market, out into the industry, and I think we'll have proof of concept before that, but it gives me a very solid background to say, okay, does anyone want to invest in this? And that's kind of stage 1. There's a lot of ideas and stuff for development as far as an app and things like that for stage 2, but right now I just need to get it produced so that I can see how people respond to it.
Well, so full disclosure, I've talked with you before, so I might have a little bit of inside intel.
Yes, thank you for being on the panel today.
But one of the things that I would love to hear more about is as this continues to grow, you talk a lot about how each culture has a story and a soundtrack.
Right.
Well, how does this communicate across cultures? People from a different country probably have different experiences than, different cultural kind of touch points
Sure.
than we do. So how does this translate?
Well, we talked about it, I've written a number of these scenarios myself, about 2/3 of them. I've had some family friends and some creative thinkers and writers submit scenarios to me, but it's basically written for Americans. We have certain cultural rites of passage, driver's license, prom, college graduation, high school graduation, all of these things. Now let's take the model of mixtape and have an expansion pack or a complete deck written by someone from a different culture. Their rites of passage are going to be different. Their humor is going to be different. The irreverent stuff that they write about might be different. Or in some cases, it might be very serious. But that's okay. Each culture can kind of create the scenarios that allow them to tell the stories that are important to them, where they live, and who they are. Did I answer that right? Okay. So mixtape isn't limited. This can be a global game. A friend of ours said, man, I would love to have had this when I was in the hostel in Europe, because it just would have been interesting to hear what people would have played, not just from a musical base, but in that environment, people want to tell stories. That's why they travel and they talk about where they've been. I mean, this is a good igniter for that type of conversation. Okay.
Are there any products on the market now that are in a direct competition with this?
When I first pitched the idea to people that haven't ever heard it, they say Apples to Apples and Cards Against Humanity. And that's probably a real close reference, except that with Cards Against Humanity, you're only limited by playing what's in your hand. If someone plays the white card, you have 4 black cards. Those are your only options. With Mixtape, I play the white card. You can pick from any experience you've either lived, literally, or any experiences you can think of in your imagination. Now, if you play Mixtape enough, as I have, you'll find yourself usually not even answering the same scenario with the same song twice in a row, because you have options. And as you play around the table, your friends will play songs and you'll be like, oh, I forgot about that one. That one's so good. And then you get taken off on another memory or another tangent. So I don't think so. I do not believe so.
So one more question that I have is on the licensing rights for music. So I know in marketing the Kickstarter campaign and the video, it's hard to do that but not having those licensing rights. So can you talk a little bit about that challenge, how you've gotten over it, around it, under it?
Sure. Kickstarter just basically said hands off. I was going to do this basic demonstration playing the licensed songs that I did, Coldplay, the Beatles, and Handel. I don't know if he's copyrighted or not. But I couldn't use them in my video. Even if we had been funded over $1 million, if they had one legal issue, Kickstarter would have cut it immediately. So I haven't necessarily been able to play songs for people who think about backing it. You're the first audience that's actually heard how the actual game works. It's a big obstacle. I mean, we've got 52% of our goal, over $7,000 on the video. If any of you have seen it, I don't actually tell people how to play the game. But it speaks to emotion, it speaks to endearment, and I think it sparks curiosity enough that the real value here is going to be getting this actual deck so people can go home and play it. It's an obstacle, a challenge. It's not impossible.
All right, let's open it up to anybody else that has questions. Sure.
What's your history and what got you interested in attempting to do this?
Coming out of the Army, I was a graphic designer in college, but I didn't graduate and kind of had some good experiences in college, some of which I've written about in Mixtape. Joined the military. When I got out, I got back into graphic design. I worked for a small product design firm, so I learned how to create products, create packaging, kind of do the whole concept from start to finish. We recently moved to Kansas City 2 years ago, and I worked as a full-time corporate graphic designer. But my brothers and I used to play this game when we'd come back from college or get together. We lived in Illinois, so we'd go drive out on the cornfields and drink beer, and we'd be like, all right, best guitar solo, go. So it really was just a game where we'd kind of introduce new music to each other, share these kind of experiences, make fun of each other a lot. That was kind of the start of the game. It's been about a year in the process of getting it to this point, but the idea came about 3 years ago, just between me and just sharing music and kind of experiences with my family.
Have a question right here.
Sure?
Very much.
I guess I can walk out
First
here.
of all, that was a fantastic presentation. So
Thank
my
you.
question for you involves social media. And how do you hope social media will help tell Mixtape's story?
I just started my first Facebook account a few weeks ago. Which is funny, but I've been on Instagram since it started, and just to talk a little bit about that, I mean, there's storytelling. That's what Facebook is. Any social media is social, right? People are there to devour content. You're producing it so that people like it. I hope that for Instagram, let me use Instagram for an example. You just have your first child, but your family lives off in New Jersey. You take a picture of your child, you send it to your family through Instagram, and you say, mixtape this. And your family then sends you back songs. You just climb Mount Fuji. You take a picture of the sun coming up. You're on the top of a mountain. You send it to your friends who are stuck in their office jobs in corporate America, and you say, mixtape that. I see that being, I guess, using social media as a tool, but you're really telling these stories that are real. It's not just, I mean, I'll be glad to hand Facebook over to someone who loves social media because it feels sort of impersonal to me. You know, I want people to be telling real stories with real images. That would be another step. But that's, I mean, social media is to tell stories. I hope that Mixtape allows people to do that in a little more connected way. Yeah, thank you for
Here's
your
a
question.
question right here.
Sure.
This is an out there idea for you, but I worked at a Hard Rock Cafe in college, and I think this should be on every table in every Hard Rock Cafe.
I agree with you. 100%. Thank you.
I would think GoPro has one like you. If they don't, they need you desperately.
Thank you so much.
I kind of got an idea of the look of the game. Can you talk to me about how you developed the colors, font, general
Sure.
look of it?
Sure. Being a graphic designer, I kind of like the vintage feel. I like albums. I like repurposed wood and Edison bulbs. No, I'm just kidding. That one's kind of overdone, but classic fonts. And I wanted it to have the feel. It's nostalgic. Your life is nostalgic. There's a story to it. It has a look and feel. It's not super clean and modern. And I wanted people to feel that. I like old vans, the ones that have graphics and murals and stuff. That was really kind of. I like the stripes. I like old California surf designs, skate designs, things like that. So it just kind of all kind of came together. Great, thank you.
Okay. In the back here?
Okay,
Thanks, Joel.
yeah.
I know it's early and it's speculation at this point, but what's your plan for monetizing off the consumer, off me? Will I have to buy the initial product? Will there be some monthly subscription or renewal? I know it's early, but
Sure.
what's kind of your idea?
Initially, it's just going to be a card game. You buy it off the Mixtape website. From a licensing standpoint, like I said, Google Play has 30 million songs. They do a subscription based. I would love to license it to someone like that where it's a built-in app. So with your subscription, you get Mixtape. It generates scenarios. It keeps score. And I think there's some value from a data collection standpoint. I know in Kansas City, we're big on advertising. Think about capturing a demographic of a certain age group. Chevy wants to advertise trucks to this age group. Well, now we have not only the songs, because the songs are simple. We know what songs they're playing. But when you put the scenario part into the equation, now what you're getting is what emotion is provoking that song. Is it adventure? Sure. You can write scenarios to gather data from people. So licensing is first. First, I just want to sell them. I want to get them out and get some traction. Licensing, they can come approach me for that. Good question. Thank you.
Joel, we got a question in
Sure.
the center.
Sorry.
Hey, Joel.
Hi.
What is the retail cost of this, and what is your cost of production for each unit?
Let's see, at 2,500 boxes, it's about 11 grand, so it's like $4.70 right now. I intend to sell it for 25. That seems to be a fairly competitive price. That's what Cards Against Humanity goes for. Another type of card game, similar in storytelling and whatnot. Some of them have, Cards Against Humanity has 500 cards. I have 200, but Cards Against Humanity has 8 writers, and a lot of them are just one-liners, versus some of these scenarios are fairly in length. They're almost like small movie plots. So I think that's a fair value. It could go up or down. I'm not really stuck on that right now. I think 25 is fair. You can get it now on Kickstarter for 15. Just saying.
Right. Who says you don't know how to do social media? Here's another question.
Sure.
So I'm curious as to why you chose the name Mixtape. Like if the main idea behind the game is getting people around a table and sharing stories.
The first run, it was called Soundtrack because I wanted people to play the soundtrack of their lives. But after throwing that idea back and forth, I used to make mixtapes for like girlfriends. My wife, I made her one for Valentine's Day a few years ago. I've made them for friends. I've made them for myself, even for road trips. And I just was thinking about that, like, man, when I went on a road trip, I had 12 songs that were highway, freedom, and then so it just seemed logical. I like that kind of vinyl, audiophile kind of aesthetic. So mixtape, that's generally what they were for. You were putting certain songs one at a time to tell people your story, to tell people your emotions. If it was the hard rock mixtape, or this is the one I listen to when I'm angry, this is the one I listen to after my boyfriend or girlfriend dumps me. That's what they were. They were there to provoke those emotions. And so that's why I felt like it was a good fit.
Question up front. Okay, Todd. Yeah.
You talked about the first iteration and the game and things like that, but it seems like there's a lot of opportunity for add-on from that. So you come up with 100 questions or 100 scenarios. How do you then get 150 out? How does somebody buy the next version of your application or your game?
Yeah, good question. First and foremost, my hope is that the community will then start sending their stories into us. Maybe that's a dream. I don't think it's a dream. I think it's engaging the people who play it because they will know the value of it and saying, send us your scenarios. Send us real life stories. The other way is expansion packs. So let's say we could license Mixtape to the writers from Saturday Night Live. And we've got 10 groups of writers, people that are writing culture, people that are writing comedy, they're writing movies, they're writing books, and say, okay, you guys send us 150. That will gain some interest from some demographic, the writers for Conan O'Brien or David Letterman. You know, there are lots of ways to license out these things so that people could kind of pick and choose what part of the culture they want to play the game around.
So you can end up with packages, basically.
Yes.
Letterman packages.
Exactly.
That's where I was going.
Exactly.
Okay, last question of your presentation. What can we as a community do to help you?
Right now I plan to print the games in New Jersey, same company that did Cards Against Humanity. I would be very open to if anyone knows a printer in Kansas City who could do it. I would love to talk with anyone who has ideas or can help me possibly scale this idea. Again, right now what I really need to ask you for is back my campaign. Let's get this product created. And then I can come back here and tell you how awesome it is. But really, yeah, any help you can offer. Printing the box is huge. I would love to do as much of it locally. If any of you own local businesses or like Bunker or you think Mixtape would fit in a place in Kansas City as a tabletop item, I would love to talk with you.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your
thank you
presentation.
for your time.
Okay, a couple of quick announcements. As Melissa said, there is an ECJC Angel Series next week. It's on your announcement sheet for more details. Google I/O 2015 is tomorrow, so check that out. Also, Nathan, he is here to tell us a little bit more about 1 Week KC.
Hey guys, good morning. So on your chairs or in the back, you'll see these cards. A lot of the events are filling up, so if you haven't already registered for E-Day at the K, or if you're interested in the Rookie Lunch and haven't done that yet, please go ahead and sign up today. What's up, Nate Olson? The E-Day at the K is $20. It gets you dinner, gets you free T-shirt for T-shirt Tuesday, and gets you a chance to interact with. We're flying in entrepreneur all-stars from around the country to come and spend the day with us. So really encourage you to look at that one. There's also Sprint's demo day for their Techstars Accelerator. If you haven't gone last year, sign up soon because I know that one also fills up. It'll be a really great opportunity to see the 10 companies that have gone through the Accelerator this spring, see how they're doing, see what they're up to. Anyways, do check out this flyer, sign up for stuff today, and also, due to a popular request, Taylor's going to do a drawing at 10 o'clock this morning for 5 more E-Day tickets. Katie has those. So if you put your card in the basket back at the front, we'll do a drawing at 10 for 5 more tickets to the game. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nathan. Okay, who's going to the Royals game next week? Raise your hand. We need more of this crowd to be there. Come on, guys. Anyway, we'd like to welcome Eric Darst of Flow.
Thank you. Everybody hear me? You just got to be smarter than the computer most of the time. That's the challenge I have. So thanks, everyone. Thank you, 1 Million Cups, for inviting me. This is actually my 5th 1 Million Cups. I've been to all 4 of them in Colorado, and now I'm out here in Kansas City. So I'm seasoned in 1 Million Cups, and I love the program. It's great. All right, so Flow. I am the co-founder and one of the startups of Flow, and Flow connects all of the online calendars out there, including other personal calendars, to your own personal calendar with one click. That's what we do. Let's see if we can get this to work. All right, great. The calendar world is a mess, and I'm sure everyone here has experienced that in one form or another. Excuse me. It's scattered and inconsistent. Think about all the calendars that affect your life, everything from your daughter's soccer practice schedule to your partner's Outlook calendar to the Kansas City Chiefs. And think about how difficult it is to get that stuff moved into your own personal calendar. You're usually stuck with all sorts of different problems with it. Most of them don't work. Flow fixes all of this. With Flow, you can follow all the calendars that interest you with one click and in one place, and automatically sync any of your events to your own personal scheduler. That's what Flow does. First off, Flow is the Twitter of calendars. What that means is that you can follow many calendars that you want. You can be followed. Here I'm being followed by 50-some people. You can refollow, like retweet, individual events. You can create, share, discover, all the things that Twitter does, except ours is ordered by the events that are feeding in from all the calendars that you're following, and it's done by date and time. So that's the big difference. Flow is also the Pinterest of calendars. It's like the old pin it button, Pinterest pin it button, except ours is focused on events. So no browser install is required. It's just a bookmark. No website code is required on any of the websites. We have an example here, Gothic Theater. They're a music venue in Colorado, great place. They have probably no idea who we are. But if you click on our follow button, up comes their calendar. It's actually our calendar of Gothic Theater on their website. Okay? And from here, one-click follow. You click follow, you're following the calendar. You can also click any of the events and refollow them individually if you want to. One click. And this is really important. If we don't have that calendar in our library, then we will get it for you. Short time later, you get an email that says your calendar is ready and it's been added to your account. And of course, then anyone else coming to that site afterwards will see our calendar. We are also an event commerce toolkit. We turn ordinary calendars into a very smart and very effective marketing channel. We have all sorts of tools that go with that. Here's an example, Tattered Cover Bookstore, one of our subscribers in Denver. Famous indie bookstore, really great place. And again, one-click follow. You click on the follow button, and you are now following that calendar and everything that goes on in the future. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Our users are going around the internet, gathering all the calendars that they have an interest in with our follow button. Well, then we turn around and reach out to those calendar owners and convert them into subscribers. And then when they adopt our Event Commerce Toolkit, then their followers become our users, which then they get the follow button, and the cycle repeats. So essentially, we generate our own leads with this model. It's really cool the way it works, and we're very excited about that. All right, market size, it's very large. The subscriber addressable market is 30 million plus websites out there that have calendars on them. And the user addressable market, well, anybody who wants to follow a calendar or an event could potentially be a user. And we are globally aware. We handle international time zones, which, by the way, is a real trick. It's not easy to do. All right, our team, top drawer. We've got some great people here. Ken Katuin from Flow is here as well, and you can talk to Ken later. We have over 50 plus years of building and running technology companies. We have 20 plus years in the calendar space alone. And then we have knowledge in big data, mobile, marketing. Team is really top drawer. I really like this group. They're really very passionate about the product. We have 3 revenue sources. First, we have a subscription source for the advanced event toolkit that people might want to use. Otherwise, it's free. Okay, so personal and small business use is always free, including the follow button. We have what we call 3W analytics. 3W, we know what you're interested in, where you may be, and when you may be there. And that is extraordinarily valuable information that can be used in a variety of different ways. Then we also have enterprise customization. Right now, we're talking to a number of Fortune 1000 companies with some really interesting customization for our product. Our projections, we show about a 3x growth in revenue every year, but then we keep our EBITDA relatively stable because we are taking all of our earnings and rolling them back in, reinvesting into growth. Growth is the key. Traction, some parts of Flow have been out for a while, so we've got some pretty decent traction, and it's growing pretty fast. We're really excited about the release of the follow button, which will be coming out fairly shortly. That's going to really ramp up our traffic in a big way. Our capital plan is in 3 phases. Phase 1 is the expansion of our follow button to grow the market and also to secure 2 patents that we are working on right now. Phase 2 is to go to big data. If you stop and think about it, there's a ton of information that we have, so we'll be going into big data. And then phase 3 is to scale internationally. All right, so the acquisition appetite has really changed over the last couple of years in the calendar world. We're pretty excited about this. Sunrise was just purchased by Microsoft for $100 million. Timeful was purchased by Google. They're not saying how much. So there's a lot of interest in the calendar world there wasn't before, and much of that is fed by personal assistants and all the things that are going on around that. So we have an interesting position. We are actually positioned as a calendar exchange. We're in between the internet calendars and your personal calendar. So we essentially are an exchange. We don't regard other personal calendars as competition. We actually see them as value because we are pushing content to them. We're feeding content to them. And then lastly, behind the scenes, we have a very sophisticated adaptive parser that maintains and continuously updates all of the calendars in our library. That's actually a fairly sophisticated and significant barrier to entry for others. Okay. That's it. Questions?
Start up.
Oh, yep. Up there.
Sure. So tell me more about the calendar exchange. Can you?
How does that work?
Dive deeper into that because I think it's interesting. It's an interesting way to position yourself.
That is a question I hear a lot. And because of that, I have a slide. It's kind of a follow-up slide. This is the way it works. Flow is a master calendar. Every calendar that you see out there, including other personal calendars like Outlook and Google Calendar and your partner's whatever they're using, iCal, we just see it as another calendar. So all of those calendars come into Flow. So everything that you're interested in and you have want to follow in some form or fashion and get information about updates and changes and new events and things of that sort that are going on around you, in your life around you, goes into your master calendar. And then you can refollow events from the master calendar, and those will automatically get synced to your own personal calendar, automatically. So if you say, I would like to refollow this particular event, then it just shows up in your personal calendar. So the personal calendar are for those events that you wish to attend. It doesn't get bogged down on all the other information that you might want to see. For instance, Google Calendar, if you sync a Google Calendar, you'll get all the events from that calendar, whether you want them or not. We allow you to choose. And we also give you opportunity to control what you want to refollow as an event. You can say, it's my daughter's soccer practice schedule. I want to refollow all of those events because I want them all in my personal calendar. Or nearby. I only want to see those events that are nearby me. So what happens? You will only see home games for the Kansas City Chiefs, for instance. Or if you're following a music band tour around the country, you say, when he's nearby me, I'd like to see that. So what you see is when he's in town. Okay, like Joe Bonamassa, he's in town, and so you get that synced to your personal calendar. And of course, we know that. So you may get an email from us 180 days in advance and say, hey, you know what, Joe Bonamassa's tickets are going to go on sale tomorrow, heads up. So we have all these things that we can do with that event. And then you can, of course, select those events that you'd like to refollow to push into your personal calendar. And then somebody else who is using Flow could be following your personal calendar here, and then they can choose what they'd like to see or not see from your own personal calendar. So that's how it works. That make sense?
Yeah.
So we are an exchange. We are in between. We can also be a calendar as well, too. But we aren't just a calendar. We are much, much more. Okay.
Cool. So on your financial projection slide, you talked a little bit about how you're planning on reinvesting
Yes.
in the growth of your company. Can you talk a little bit about how you and your team made that decision and kind of the discussions that you had about it?
We have a desire, we think, to be acquired at some point. And if we just show a big EBITDA at the bottom, meaning there's a lot of cash in the business, but the growth is not there, it has less of an appetite. Right now, purchases are based upon volume of users, volume of traffic. That's what's important. So we take the earnings, we roll them back into the product, and we expand and expand and expand internationally. I mean, this thing could actually be quite large in a very short period of time, especially with the follow button. If it goes, I hate to use the word, viral. I mean, you know, you can't make something go viral, but you can grease the skids. And from there, you hope that you've got that little bit of intangible that turns it into a viral solution. Okay?
What has been, when you're when you're looking at your earliest versions, what has been any of your major pivots? What have you learned from your subscribers?
You know, I have to admit, Flow has actually been out there for about 4 years. And we started as just a calendar. And then we realized it was the Twitter of calendars. That's really where we started, okay? And we knew that this was a really great idea, but what we discovered almost immediately is the connection at both ends was where the real problem lies. So we created the Event Commerce Toolkit that turns calendars into marketing channels, which, by the way, people have very rarely thought of. I mean, they just see them as listing utilities, but we changed all that. So it gives you scheduled broadcasting, customized widgets, rich content that you can associate with your events. We did that. And then we realized that the big problem is there are so many different formats out there for calendars. It's spread out all over the place, and it's a mess. And most people are complaining because they are running multiple calendars themselves. And we said, okay, we have to fix that, and that's where the follow button came in. So it was just basically 3 phases that we went through. Now we've closed the loop. With the follow button, that closes the loop, and that makes the product really very powerful, in our opinion. Yes?
Oh, thank you. Did you have
Yeah,
another?
more questions?
I want Melissa to go, and
I
then
just
I'm
had
gonna go.
one last question for
Yeah.
you. So you mentioned that you've traveled to a lot of different 1 Million Cups locations, Colorado here. Can you tell us a little bit about the difference in all those environments and maybe some of the different people that you've met along the way?
Well, you have different types of individuals with different ideas and different social backgrounds. Like when I go to Boulder, I talk about life is a stream of events. The ones you attend define who you are. That's what I talk about in Boulder, okay? That's what you have to do, you know? And they go, yeah, you know, and so it's all, you know, they approach it as a B Corp, you know, this is a social value kind of thing, right? I go to Colorado Springs and it's very boom, 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 we're gonna make this kind of money and we're gonna do it this way and this is how we're gonna do it, blah, blah, blah. So it just depends on where you are. As far as the 1 Million Cups itself goes, this is by far the largest group. I would expect it to be because, you know, Kansas City and Kaufman, it's the main stage. But all of the 1 Millions have been fantastic as far as feedback, intimacy, lots of conversations afterwards, has got us to rethink some elements of what we do. So 1 Million is actually a really good venue, guys. I really like it.
Great. Okay. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm involved in a festival, and we have to have an event calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So is your calendar something we could embed that helps, you know, the users, the attendees can share socially once we embed it on our website?
We have a couple of things that you can do. One is that we have, of course, all the ways that you can share events to Facebook, Twitter, you know, the usual suspects. We also have a comment section so that you can comment in each of the events. And those comments can be hashtagged, they can be mentioned. So you have the ampersand mention sign, the hashtag sign, all that is supported by us. So you have all those social interactions that can take place as well. Embedding is one line of code. It's just a single line of code, and it's free.
Once an event happens, does it disappear?
We always look forward. We do not delete events. You can always go back and look at an old event, always. But our stream always looks from today forward. Okay?
Thank you. Okay, we got another question too.
Actually, Brian, we have,
Oh, sorry, Sarah.
one last question.
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quickly, when you look at your customer, and how old is the business? You said
It's about 4 years.
4 years. When you
Give
look
or
at the lifetime value, so in the beginning, when do they start paying you, becoming a subscriber, and do they subscribe more? Tell me about the value of your individual customer.
Oh, okay, got it. The first challenge we have is it's a teaching moment. Getting people to understand how they can use calendars as a marketing channel is fairly unique, and it's something that takes time for us to educate. But I'll use Tatted Cover as an example. Once they got the idea, then they just took off, and they started coming up with all these other additional ideas and thoughts that they would like to do. And so what we discovered is once we get them over a threshold, then they take the product on themselves and they adopt it themselves. And they've come up with ideas like a loyalty program. You have the ability to create an event that is just for friends only. Well, you set it up so that everybody that follows the calendar, you make them a friend. And then you can have events in your calendar that are just for friends only. So only you will see those things as a friend. So there are loyalty programs that these guys are developing that are really showing some significant interest and some value. So that's what we've discovered, is that once we get past this idea of using a calendar as a marketing tool, then it takes on its own life at that point. Yes.
Eric, I got a question to your right.
Yes.
So my own calendar, is it public or is it private? If it's public, can I block people from viewing my own calendar?
You have 3 levels of permission on each event. Public, anybody can find it, anybody can discover it, anybody can see it. Friends, meaning only those people you approve can see those events. Like my wife uses it for her swimming program, and her parents and coaches and swimmers can see her friend level events, but no one else can. So, practices and stuff like that. And then private. Only you see that event on your calendar. And so you could only just use it as a private events if you want to, and just be your own calendar. And then those events can be private, and then everything that you refollow, all of those permissions go with those refollows. So if you refollow a friend event from somebody else, only friends can see that, even if it's been refollowed by you on your calendar. Just like Twitter, same concept as Twitter. Yes?
Yeah, I basically had the same question, but I've got a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Can you have different groups of friends? So if I had my work on there so my boss could see where I was going, and then if I had my social friends, say from church or something like that, they could see where.
We've talked a lot about adding kind of the group concept, like what Google does with the Google Plus, is these groups. And we're trying to be as simple as possible. So we've decided that we'll probably have just like 2 or 3 groups. Acquaintances, business, and friends, or something to that effect. And just let it go at that and not go any deeper than that. It's in planning. We don't have it in our core product yet. But we have definitely talked about that quite a bit. Yes, any other questions?
Question here, a new first time.
I know you.
Hey. So can you talk about the technology that's powering Flow? And is it just a web platform right now? Do you have plans to go mobile? I think it's really cool. I like the follow idea. I think that's really nice.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Sunrise user. I really like that, especially the new features that they've rolled out with Meet. That's really great. So can you talk about just the product, what's it built on, what's kind of your technology plan for this?
Okay, I'm going to get a little geeky here. It's built on a LAMP stack right now. It's being rebuilt as an API platform, and we already have alpha in iOS and wireframe in Android, so it's getting close there. And as an API platform, we'll have that available for all the devices out there. Internally, we'll have API, and then we also have public API so that you can reach out if you need to. Sunrise can reach out to us, or we can reach out to Sunrise. We see Sunrise as a great opportunity because we will sync to them. As they expose their APIs, we'll take advantage of that. So that's where that goes. As far as the adaptive parser, that's a meaty thing. It's a massively parallelized, globally distributed, loosely coupled, on-demand parsing platform. It is really quite something, the way it works. So if you go to a website, and we happen to know that website that you're on, and we see that we have that as a calendar, we'll do an on-demand, immediate parse or data extraction of that site, just to make sure that we're always current with the content that's on the site and our calendar. So that's done on demand. I mean, that's right there, right when that's happening. So does that answer your question about the technology?
Yeah, who built it?
We did. No, seriously. My co-founder is actually probably the most gifted designer developer I've ever met. And I've been around code a long time, and this guy is he's out there. He's really, really good. And then Patrick Carter is our IT guy. He's the one that does the big data and the adaptive parser solution, and he's very, very gifted in massively parallel solutions. So yes, it's us.
I have a question way in the back.
Okay.
I'm still walking.
Hey, thank you for sharing. It's a good idea. I think everyone in this room can probably relate with the challenge that you're working on. It's a good idea. Couple real quick questions. On the enterprise play that you mentioned, is the idea that as a corporate employee on my Outlook calendar, I can see the conflict between the afternoon budget meeting and my kid's soccer game? Is it to provide that sort of aggregation inside the firewall?
No, we're not trying to offset Outlook or other exchange solutions internally within business. Those guys do a fine job of that. We're talking to them about a marketing play. So when they put widgets out there or they have followers, there are all sorts of really interesting things that we're doing right now with them to customize for their particular cases. I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you who they are.
Gotcha.
But for instance, a rather large pizza delivery company. And what we're doing with them. And so you can reserve a pizza in the future associated with your daughter's birthday if you want to.
Nice.
There's an example, just a simple example, and there's like, oh my gosh, it just rolls on and on and on. There's so many different things we can do with it. So
Thank you. And then a quick follow-up on the big data part, the analytics.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm an advocate. I love it. Go for it. It's a good idea. But I'm curious what your vision for the use of that data is. How it will be used, who will potentially gain access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're gaining subscribers now, I think there's a lot of people that would be interested to know what you're thinking about the use of that data down the road.
Right. It stays in-house, period. Even if the NSA asks me, I'll go to jail first. That's how serious I am about anonymity. It will stay in-house. However, using it for sponsorships and targeting and retargeting and recommendations and promotions and all the things that we can do through an ad network model, that's exactly what we'll be doing with that. So we see that you're following the Denver Center for the Performing Arts. You may be interested in the Arvada Performing Arts Center. There's a recommendation, for example. Or we see that you're going to be like Joe Bonamassa's national tour. We see you're following him when he comes into town. We can keep you up to date as to what's going on. Hey, did you know that Tab Benoit just joined his tour? Oh my gosh, I've got to go. So those are the kinds of things that we will use that data for. And it's extremely valuable because it's future knowledge. It's anticipation marketing is what we call it. Getting people compelled to go to your events using these tools. Okay, does that answer your question? Yes.
Got a question here in the back?
Yes.
This is a rich space with a lot of opportunities. We've seen local companies here try to tackle this market and not be successful. I get that you're a marketing play, and I get that you're not a personal calendar organizer company.
Yes.
But I'm wondering if there's a tack. For some of us, we love looking out and finding events. For others of us, our calendars are full and we don't need any more events on our calendar. However, I can see a middle ground, and I'm curious if you've explored this, where maybe I have a standing date night on my calendar every Thursday night, or maybe I have a free Saturday night once a month, and I'm looking for ideas on how to fill that. Do you have, or have you considered the ability to target and say, I know this is what I'm looking to fill on my calendar, and I could maybe quickly match up with some opportunities from Flow? Is that anywhere on your radar screen?
Yes, that's part of the recommendations model, absolutely. And we have a discovery capability, not only discovery on the kind of things that you're interested in, but when you'll be available and where you may be. So I can say, I want to, we have this now. I can type in there a filter that says distance : 50. And say, okay, everything going on within 50 miles of me, wherever I happen to be at this time. It doesn't even have to ask you that. It just knows. So you have the ability to find those things that you may be interested in. And also, if you say, this music venue down the street, I'm always interested in what's going on there. I just can't keep revisiting that site all the time to see what's going on. Follow that calendar. And then from there, you get all the stuff in Flow that shows you things going on in that particular music venue, and you can choose those that you would like to refollow. That gets dumped into your personal calendar, so your calendar becomes full with the latest music that's in town. Does that answer your question? So you can go both ways. You can even curate. You can say, I want to create a blog, and I want to follow all the music venues in Colorado. And so I'm following all these music venues, and I'm just refollowing those events that I really think are cool, those music venues, those bands that are cool. And then when somebody goes to my blog and looks at Flow on my blog, they see those curated events. so I can actually build a rapport about those kinds of things that I'm interested in and I'm willing to share with others. So you can use it as a curation tool.
Sounds great. Thank you so much
All right.
for coming out.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, what can we as a community do for you?
It's always a question that's asked every time. And it changes. The
I
answer
thought
changes
it was
every
the
time.
first time I got to.
Yeah. The follow button is free, publicly available. We want it to spread quickly through social media and other kinds of things. I'm open to ideas to help improve our greasing the skids to make the thing viral. What can we do to make that thing as viral as possible so that we can get lots of people using it in a very short period of time? I'm always open to ideas regarding that. So anything that you can suggest to Ken or me, I'm all ears.
Great. I look forward to trying out your product.
All right.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
it's
much.
up and running.
Let's hear it for Eric.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we have a quick announcement from Taylor Brown.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to 1 Million Cups today. Nate, will you come on up here? Because we're going to announce the winners of the tickets, and I need you to draw for me. Okay, so we're doing 5.
Tickets for what?
For the Royals game next Tuesday.
James Cole, intellectual property attorney.
Woo! Come on up.
Okay. How many do I pull? 5. Be a jerk, Brian. Well, James, you're going to have a great time with Harry Wilson, CPA. And to round out this trio, we have Dan Carroll, who's a solution specialist and a consultant. Chance, you got a great head of hair on you. Chance Gum. Any women? Let's try. Let's. I'm randomly selecting a woman. Lorraine Smith? Laura Ann?
She in the house? Woo!
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Nate.
Hey, before we let you go, I want to send a big happy birthday to our friend Taylor Brown. Happy birthday, Taylor. Taylor has been doing an amazing job leading our 1 Million Cups team. And a couple weeks ago, we had a summit here in Kansas City. We brought about 63 people in from around the country. It was an amazing event. Taylor was instrumental in planning that, and she just does a ton of work for 1 Million Cups. So once again, thank you, Taylor. Happy birthday. All right, we'll be back in the big room next week. We hope to see you. Tell your friends. Bring, you know what, if you have any high school kids or friends with kids, we love seeing the high school kids come out or the college kids come out. So bring somebody new with you next time. Thanks for coming out.